Well, I have to say I've been following the Sheffield Wednesday coverage very closely when it comes to Dejphon Chansiri. The reason behind that is because ultimately I'm a football fan. Also, on top of that as well, my club, Leeds United, has been in administration before, and it is absolutely horrific because owners can't run football clubs in the correct way, which is, I think, a bit of a trickle-down approach from the brackets that are put in place, the framework that is put in place in the English game, which appears to have got even less stringent than what it once was. Dejphon Chansiri has ran this once great football team, a pillar in Yorkshire football, into the ground. The other night against Middlesbrough, there was a boycott by Sheffield Wednesday fans, and there's been a boycott really throughout the season. Youngsters have been playing. Wednesday have struggled to get the amount of players that need to build up and bulk up a matchday squad throughout the entire season. And ironically, probably their greatest achievement this season has come against my club, Leeds United, in a brilliant penalty shootout win, of which there was a 16-year-old kid, Will Granger, I believe, on the pitch. So that is what the situation with Wednesday has been. It has been supporters trying to help the club with their feet, and I know how difficult that can be, especially with horrific ownership and you having to think to yourself. I mean, personally, we had it with Ken Bates and other owners as well, where you've got to think with your feet, and you'll get other clubs saying, well, look at you, you can't fill your ground. But these football fans don't understand how owners can absolutely downtrod your club and ransackle your club as well. And Sheffield Wednesday have had that to the highest degree. Now, it's a very, very important day for Wednesday, a hugely important day. They have been put into administration, and although from the outset that sounds absolutely horrific for Wednesday, it looks like Paul Stanley and his administrators are going to take control of the club. The club was on the 11th hour. If administrators hadn't have taken over Sheffield Wednesday at the point that they did, the club would have been put into liquidation, which meant that Sheffield Wednesday would have gone the route of the likes of Bury and others and would have ceased to exist, which is, for Sheffield Wednesday, a great football club. It's a ridiculous thought, really, and no football club and football fan should experience that. But for Sheffield Wednesday in particular, it'd have probably hit the football community maybe a little bit harder, because once such a brilliant football club being laid to ruin by an owner who can't own and can't run and manage a business. Now, the positive side for Sheffield Wednesday is that this will mean that Chansiri likely is out of the club. Sheffield Wednesday is an entity including the ground, which is a very, very important bit of context with this as well. Bringing it back down to Leeds United, my club, Leeds was without Ellen Road as a club. And as a whole asset for so long, it was very difficult to sell, because obviously you want your ground in with the football club. If someone's trying to buy it, you want the ground in with it. And now, from what we're reading and hearing, Sky Sports wise, it looks like the administrator Paul Stanley and co are going to have the ground in with Sheffield Wednesday to be able to sell, which is massive in being able to sell and get rid of, obviously, a football club. Now, Stanley was on Sky Sports earlier suggesting that it could take up to 2 months. He's also said as well, very, very crucially, that the players are going to be paid, but more importantly, the staff are also going to be paid at Sheffield Wednesday. Also, as we are speaking right now, Chansiri's name, which is on the stands if you ever go to Wednesday, is actually being taken out of the seating on the huge stand that they've got on either side. I believe his name is on either side, which from an ego representation is so apt for Dejphon Chansiri. And still that being there when Sheffield Wednesday have been going through all their trials and tribulations when it comes to this man is quite staggering. And I would be thinking with my feet as well. I'd think to myself, I'm not going to sit in a ground where this man's name is painted everywhere whilst he absolutely drags my club through the mud. Now, what does this mean in terms of the overarching look at Sheffield Wednesday? Well, Sheffield Wednesday are going down. I think we're all very, very aware of that, and it feels like right now the Championship's already relegated side are the Owls. Now, what does this mean in terms of context? Well, it's probably happened at the perfect time for Wednesday, because not only is the likelihood that Chansiri is going to be out, and the administrators come in. Paul Stanley, who sounds like a very, very good bloke, by the way. Seems like he's from up north as well, so he gets it a little bit when it comes to Sheffield Wednesday. He was saying that actually part of the administrator group, there is a couple of Sheffield Wednesday fans in there, which is going to be a huge help, obviously, for the Owls, and just knowing, what needs to be done in terms of the fan feeling in and around the club, because some of the administrators or part of the group who are dealing with the lead administrator, Paul Stanley, are Wednesday fans. That's huge. But they want the fans to come in, buy beer, get involved at the weekend, because it's that fan feel. It's back again. Chansiri is gone. So from a football fan perspective, you'd almost, not that I need to, but you'd almost urge Sheffield Wednesday fans to get back in there. It's a new dawn, a new era. Getting rid of owners and tyrants sometimes of football clubs is the best way forward. And obviously we're looking at a very sort of gargantuan and elevated one here in someone like Mike Ashley leaving Newcastle, but it can spark a new dawn. And we see it so much in football that it's so important that this has happened for Sheffield Wednesday. So it's important as well that for me it's happening this season. If it was to happen next season in League One when they're down there, which I think all Wednesday fans will admit that is where they're going, if it was to happen in League One, that would then basically mean that they start the season down there with 12 points and very sort of insecure times. But the Sky Sports report in particular that I was watching was Paul Stanley was on there. Sounds like a really good dude, by the way. He said that all the players were very receptive. The ground staff wanted to get rid of the Chansiri bits and bats as well in and around the stadium. So it feels like it's been a wholehearted approach from everybody to get rid of this guy and to get rid of the stain that he's been putting on the club for a sustained period of time now, in terms of, getting rid of his name around the ground and all this sort of stuff, and the players welcoming, the new administrators coming in, which you don't normally see. Administrators normally come in and players and staff are all thinking, oh God, what's going to happen here? But it sounds like, according to Stanley, everybody was very, very happy with this. So, what are the implications when it comes to Wednesday? Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's still a very insecure time for the Owls. I think that's pretty obvious. No one knows what's happening. You don't know what's happening with an ownership. There was an American consortium trying to get involved not long ago. Will they come back in? Who knows? Because obviously Chansiri was so difficult to deal with. There'll have probably been 6, 7, 8 buyers for a club the size of Sheffield Wednesday to be sold on to. But Dejphon Chansiri, I think, had them valued at 60 million plus, which it's comical, if anything. So, this is once a club who not only were great in sort of the 80s, 90s, also 70s, 80s, etc. Massive cup team as well, finishing high in the first division. But this is also a team just on like a lower scale when you're looking at the Championship, who under Chansiri were a game away from being in the Premier League. And once again, the financial mismanagement, the not understanding that this can happen. You can lose a playoff game. Have you prepared for everything else that's happened? I mean, that Sheffield Wednesday side was littered. There was so much money spent on it, and it takes you back to a period of Boyd and Hooper and etc. It's a very good Sheffield Wednesday side in the Championship, and you always felt that they were pushing, but it always felt like they were on the edge, and that did come to fruition. And Wednesday have been suffering now for a long period of time, and you don't see a lot of kits in the stadium now when there is a certain amount of people there, which is a handful. You don't see merchandise being bought anymore. Sales are at a record low, and debts have been accrued over, the past however many months now, 24 to 36, probably more under Chansiri. A complete mismanagement of the club, but this is a good day. It's a very good day for Sheffield Wednesday, in my opinion. It's bittersweet. You are in the hands of administrators, but it is a more secure feeling than being in the hands of a tyrant who is absolutely flooding your team into the ground. And not just that, but a tyrant who had lost interest. Someone who wanted that move away from Wednesday as an entity, but he wouldn't relinquish control because he had unnecessary and unrealistic expectations of this once great football club. I think this is a really good day for Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's a positive day for Sheffield Wednesday. How on earth can you be looking at your football club and thinking that if you're in Paul Stanley, administrator's hands, you're in a more secure place? But 12 points is the bare minimum of what could have happened to Sheffield Wednesday. As I've said, the 11th hour, let me just check the stream here. The 11th hour, Sheffield Wednesday were nearly liquidated if administrators hadn't have come in and that phone call hadn't have been made. Massive, massive news for Wednesday. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you happy? Look, I'm a Leeds United fan. Notoriously, Leeds and Wednesday aren't, don't favour each other. However, you've got to respect Wednesday as a football club, and that would have been an absolute cataclysmic day for football and a dark day for football if a once great football club were plunged into the abyss. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Wednesday fans, interested to hear your thoughts as well. Sheffield Wednesday, interesting again.